PR Connections Radio presents.
Well, it was a small break here in the world of hockey, but after that, being here, Vegas Hockey Hub recap, where we break down every single game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this is going to be a very fun episode as we are going to be discussing the most recent matchup involving your Vegas Golden Knights. And we're going to talk about all of the action that happened at the SAP Center out there in San Jose. So this is going to be a very fun episode. I'm looking forward to talking about all of this here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap with your host, Ian Rachiele, here on prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. And we're going to get into all of that in just after this quick second here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Now, when we get into this recap and discuss everything that happened here, Vegas Golden Knights going after a division rival, one of the main rivals the Vegas Golden Knights have. And, this is a young squad. They got a bunch of, former first-round picks. You have the first overall pick who actually had a contribution in San Jose in this game. And we'll talk about all of that here on this episode. But I also want to very quickly say, by the way, to everyone watching all around the world, I hope you had a great holiday. I hope you had a great celebration there. And I hope everyone's doing well. So this is definitely want to say wish a good, holiday to everyone there. And hope that you got everything you wanted. So when it comes to that situation, I'm really happy to really be talking about what this game is and what happened here. And this is going to be tongue-in-cheek, but I just want to say real quick, the San Jose Sharks got 17,000 fans to come to this game to see San Jose take on the Vegas Golden Knights. And as somebody who has understood the woes that San Jose has had, and over the last couple of years, the amount of empty seats you see San Jose Sharks games have been in the past, congratulations, props to San Jose for getting some fans to be in the stands, to be at the Shark Tank out there in San Jose. And 17,000 fans, they wanted to watch the Vegas Golden Knights be who the Vegas Golden Knights are. You want to know what the Vegas Golden Knights are? The best entertainment that you can get in the game of hockey. This is a Vegas Golden Knights team that you will get your money's worth every time you watch them play live. So, San Jose Sharks fans, kudos to you and for being able to show up and watch this game in person. Once again, over 17,000 people. First time in a while I've seen more fans and more bodies in the stands than empty seats outside of SAP Center. Getting into the starting lineup for your Vegas Golden Knights. Now on forward line 1, you had Victor Olofsson, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. On forward line 2, you had Tomas Hertl, William Karlsson, and Keegan Kolesar. On forward line 3, you had Pavel Dorofeyev, Brett Howden, and Tanner Lesniewski. And then on forward line 4, you had Tanner Pearson, Keegan Kolesar, and you had Cole Schwindt. So when it comes to this game, I do want to mention, by the way, it is Alexander Holtz on that fourth line with Tanner Pearson and with Cole Schwindt. Hey, mistakes happen. This is a live show. Stuff like this does happen from time to time. Let's just very quickly fix that real quick for everybody who is watching right now, especially for the people who are watching live. So for the forwards, like I said, this is it right here. Olofsson, Eichel, Stone, Kolesar, Hertl, Karlsson, Dorofeyev, Howden, Lesniewski, and Pearson, Holtz, and Schwindt. And then defensive pairings, this has been a consistent defensive pairing for a while now. Hanifin, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore, Haig, Whitecloud. And then in net, coming off the break, is Adin Hill. So that is the starting lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights. And, overall, this has been pretty good. Ivan Barbashev, Nick Waugh, both dealing with injuries right now. One being an upper body injury, the other being a lower body injury. Because, of course, when it comes to injuries, there is no league more vague than the National Hockey League. Now, to start out the action out there in San Jose, a former San Jose Shark would introduce the Vegas Golden Knights and get the party started as Tomas Hertl. He would get a tripping penalty and would go to the penalty box against his former team. So, hey, Tomas Hertl, long time he was getting booed by the Vegas Golden Knights and cheered by the San Jose Sharks. So now it's kind of interesting to see him being, applauded by San Jose Sharks fans, the fact that he got a tripping penalty and he goes to the penalty box. So overall, when it comes to, tripping and everything like that, when it comes to Tomas Hertl, him being sent to the box, Vegas would kill this off. By the way, 4 for 4 on the penalty kill tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. That is a fantastic job by the VGK special teams unit. The fact that they went 4 for 4 and killed off every single penalty tonight. But the action would actually get put on the board a few minutes later as Victor Olofsson, he would kick it over to Alex Pietrangelo. Pietrangelo would dish it over to Noah Hanifin. He would get it right past Alexander Georgiev, and it would be a 1-0 Vegas Golden Knights game. And for Noah Hanifin, this is someone who, yes, you don't really see him score as often as, some other defensemen on this team, but he can light up the lamp if he needs to. So, really good opener, first couple of minutes in here, and for the Vegas Golden Knights to strike first and to put themselves on the scoreboard at a 1-0 situation. And, a couple of minutes later, about halfway into the first period, the first overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, the guy that I watched get drafted by the San Jose Sharks at the Spear earlier this season. Well, he trips Jack Eichel, and he would go to the box. He would be in the penalty for San Jose. And it's just kind of funny to see the first overall pick trip the superstar of the Golden Knights, and that would be Jack Eichel. And, just really funny to see the fact that you have a number 1 overall pick cause a penalty for San Jose. Now, it would not matter much because at the end of the first period, the San Jose Sharks, they would tie it up at 1. It was kind of just, a bang-bang type of goal. Sometimes goals like this happen where it was just, left, right. Oh, went for the middle. Okay, there's a tap in, there's a misdirect. So I don't really blame Aiden Hill for this goal. It was just an easy one that went in the back of the net to tie it up at 1 at the end of the first period. Now, getting into the second period, it would be tied at 1, but not for long, as early on in the second period, your captain, my captain, everybody's captain when it comes to Las Vegas, Mark Stone, he would get a multi-point performance, and this would be the goal on that multi-point performance, as an assist from Victor Olofsson, kick it over to Mark Stone, he would get it in between the pipes, and it would be a 2-1 Vegas Golden Knights lead. Victor Olofsson, 2 assists on both of the first 2 goals for the Vegas Golden Knights. So overall, I really like what we saw from Victor Olofsson today. If it wasn't for a certain player on the defensive end who would get player of the game, Victor Olofsson definitely would be in consideration there. But yeah, your captain, Mark Stone, I really like what we saw from him tonight. He was able to, generate, certain type of energy on the offensive end, especially when it came to the power play later on. And this is also the same Mark Stone that you've seen with Jack Eichel ever since, middle of November. They have actually built up some good chemistry on that first line with Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. So overall, 2-1 at the beginning of the second period. And this actually is where the fun would start to decline for just a little bit. About 90 seconds after that Mark Stone goal, now I ain't talking about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I'm not even talking about Bad Boys, but when it comes to Will Smith, this isn't about the rapper or the actor, this is the hockey player. He would score for San Jose and make it a 2-2 game for the Sharks. And this was just a really interesting situation where you're seeing that youth movement now really start to, figure itself out. And, I talked about Macklin Celebrini in the first period, but Will Smith is definitely part of that youth movement and building up that core 4 out there in San Jose. So for the 19-year-old I definitely really look at what Will Smith has done, and I appreciate what he has contributed in San Jose. But yes, I did want to make that pun. I apologize. I will punish myself later. But after a 2-2 situation, the Vegas Golden Knights would unfortunately let up another goal to San Jose late in the second period, as it would be Tyler Toffoli, the established veteran, the guy who has been in LA, the guy who's been in Montreal. Now he is over in San Jose, and he gets his 14th goal of the season. So for a veteran goal scorer, he is actually doing quite well. He's cleaning up nice out here in a rebuilding young youth movement San Jose kind of team. So Tyler Toffoli gets it in the back of the net, and just like that, you went from being tied at 1 in the first period to then being up 2-1 at the beginning of the period to then blowing a lead and being down 3-2 at the end of the second period. And overall, this is kind of the situation where I look at the Vegas Golden Knights, and they have built a habit of this. I mean, over the first half of the year, the amount of comeback wins the Vegas Golden Knights had to do is alarming, and this game was no exception, because after being down 3-2, heading into the locker room for the second intermission, and then you got to head into the last 20 minutes of the game, your Vegas Golden Knights would make a statement here at the SAP Center in San Jose. Not even 1 minute into the third period, the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the penalty kill as Alexander Holtz would end up with a tripping penalty, but this actually created an opportunity for the Vegas Golden Knights as they would get a short-handed game-tying goal from Nabber, defenseman Braden McNabb, and this would be assisted by Jack Eichel. 37 assists in 35 games. Just incredible what he is doing this season with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I also will say Alex Petrangelo, his second assist of the game. NHL.com is my reference here. I'm looking at the box score just to double check. But when it comes to this situation, I like what we saw in this situation with the penalty kill. They managed to kill it off and create a short-handed goal. And this would be the first of 4 goals in this third period. So like I mentioned, being down 3-2, the Vegas Golden Knights would capitalize on this, and the comeback kings of the 24-25 season, they would end up doing what needed to be done, and that is pick up the victory here. But this would be the first goal of 4 in this third period. So about 45 seconds after the goal from Braden McNabb, still on the penalty kill, still short-handed, the Vegas Golden Knights would score their second short-handed goal of the third period as Braden McNabb and Mark Stone would pass it over to Jack Eichel, and he would get his goal in the game, and it would end up being a 4-3 game-winning goal for Jack Eichel, and this would put them ahead here. Braden McNabb, this would be his second point of the game. Mark Stone, his second point of the game. Jack Eichel, his second point of the game. And you're really seeing the contribution that all of these guys are having this year. It's really fascinating to see how well everybody's doing here with your Vegas Golden Knights. You can appreciate what they're trying to do here. So, you have that shorthanded, eventually gets killed off with the Alexander Holtz penalty. He would get out of the penalty box, but he started being a 3-2 game, and by the time he leaves the penalty box, it would be a 4-3 lead for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this would continue to end up being a good thing for Vegas, as a little bit later, it would be another goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, and I actually want to talk about this one because it's very interesting. The third line would be able to add to the goal scoring here as Pavel Dorofeyev and Brett Howden, 2 of the surprising stars on this year. They would end up contributing here. Brett Howden would kick it over to Pavel Dorofeyev, and he would make it a 5-3 game. And Cole Schwint with the assist, still looking for his first goal as a Vegas Golden Knight, would not happen today. But being up 5-3, that would be very good for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then you would end up having the last 5 minutes of just physicality, some good hits that would be completed on both sides. And then with about 45 seconds left in the game, the San Jose Sharks would pull the empty net while being down 2. And Brett Howden, who had an assist on the Pavel Dorofeyev goal, he would be able to get it into the empty net. It would make it a 6-3 game for the Vegas Golden Knights, and that would be your final score as your Vegas Golden Knights would pick up the victory. Now, anybody's wondering if I'm going to talk about the thing that happened with Nicholas Hague and Barclay Goodrow and the roughing penalties they both got in the last 30 seconds of the game. It's San Jose and Vegas. If this was Toronto earlier in the year, where it was, kind of a situation with, Matthew Nyes, if it was something like that, maybe, I would talk about it. But no, I'm not going to talk about Barclay Goodrow and Nicholas Hague. Instead, I'm going to talk about the fact that your Vegas Golden Knights picked up a victory against the San Jose Sharks and are continuing the strong run they've had this season. Now, with all the multi-point games that happened tonight, it was really hard to choose a player of the game, but Brayden McNabb, because of the fact that he did score the game-tying goal and then was a very vital assist on the game-winning goal, I will be giving it to Brayden McNabb here when it comes to player of the game. Now, like I said, I could have done Brett Howden, I could have done Victor Olofsson, I could have done Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Aiden Hill, who did have a solid performance tonight. I could have, mentioned him in that situation. But Brayden McNabb, because of what he does defensively on top of his 2-point performance offensively, he gets the nod there. I also will say, here's your win-loss record for the Vegas Golden Knights. And this has been really solid. I really think that this has been a good outcome for the Vegas Golden Knights. And since we have 2 more dates left, and that is going to be the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens, going to be very interesting to see how those final 2 dates happen before we turn the calendar over on the Vegas Golden Knights. So, final thoughts on this game. I don't like the San Jose Sharks goal song. I know this is a minute detail. This is going to be a fan speaking here, but that freaking goal song is so annoying in San Jose. Please change it. I don't know how many years they've had that goal song for San Jose, but it does make me kind of just go every time I hear it. So overall, I will say that is a situation I didn't want to talk about just very quickly. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Ivan Barbashev when he does come back from the upper body injury, because it's going to end up being, the lines are going to change. Tanner Lesneski being sent down is the obvious statement there. And then Victor Olofsson not being on the first line. After he comes back, he'll probably get demoted down to the second line or third line there. But, yeah, very good. I like what we saw from Vegas tonight. And, going to be very curious to see what happens moving forward. If any breaking news happens or if any more contracts get extended, we definitely will make a video about that. And I understand that there's going to be, the Olympics, the stuff that's going to happen with Canada and Team USA, Team Sweden, because that's going to affect the Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll definitely talk about that when the time does come for us to talk about that tournament. And overall, I think that's about it. Vegas 6, San Jose 3. And I really like what we saw from the game tonight. The goal song still sucks, though. San Jose, I that's just something that irks me personally. I hope everyone's doing great tonight. And for all the people who are watching this live, I appreciate you. And for the people who are going to watch this when we upload it at 8 a.m. tomorrow, that's definitely going to be appreciated. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Go Knights, go, and have a good one.